Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Move, Elevate, Thrive podcast. Today, we are interviewing the wonderful Wendy LeBlanc-Arbuckle, and we're going to talk about her life, her book that's coming out, so many amazing, wonderful things that are happening. But hello, Wendy. How are you today?
Hey, Jacob. Great to be here.
It's awesome to have you. We're really excited to do the workshop and your book coming out. So I just kind of wanted to go back into a little bit of your history, not too much, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, you've been doing in movement. You've been teaching people been in movement for over 5 decades. What would you say really drew you to this line of work of helping people and changing people's lives?
Well, I think like so many people, the draw was to help myself.
Right. Yeah.
Really, to
Yeah.
really have more awareness
Yeah.
of how can I, um, rather than look for outside fix me conversations, which I'm fine. I have a good doctor and all that. I'm fine with that when I need it, but often the traditional time-tested remedies and just ways of being with ourselves. What is self-massage? It's
Right.
ancient,
Yeah.
What is it just to change your diet and have profound changes? What is movement? And I mean, movement was always some activity, I'm walking or I'm playing volleyball or I'm doing, but
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it became yoga. What is yoga?
Right. Yeah.
you know and then there was this experience of profoundly noticing how my nervous system was resting down. I was just able to be more aware in my life, so it was just a then it became a really wonderful building on that awareness with many life shifting experiences that took me to particular mentors, and
Mm.
so that was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
that's amazing. What would you say, like, is one of the number one issues or hindrances, blocks for everyday, like, people that aren't at all in tune with their bodies? They don't know, they're just clocking into their 9 to 5 job, coming home super stressed, super tired, super angry, but they don't know anything about movement and they don't realize what's happening inside of them. But what would you say blocks the almost the normal like public, like the mass public from being able to tune in with their
Right.
body?
Right. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that majority of people, because we're really conditioned in this fast society of get up, do this, do that, just
Right.
get a cup of coffee, run out the door.
Yeah.
And so we're conditioned to think of ourselves as a machine to be trained and fixed. So
Mm.
this is an image that we're very familiar with,
Yes,
a
absolutely.
skeleton,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
here is a shoulder joint. And
Mm.
here is our different muscles that we study sometimes. Yeah, oh, something's wrong with my shoulder. I've got to fix it. Oh, my stomach isn't toned enough. I should do more belly work, more abdominal work, and all this.
Right.
So we have this condition or this conditioning to perceive ourselves as a machine to be trained and fixed. But actually, it is so far from who we are.
Right.
And that's been a huge revelation. And as a myofascial release therapist,
Yeah.
that's like Ida Rolf, one of my mentors. She wasn't one of my mentors, but I studied with teachers who studied with Ida Rolf.
Yeah.
And that was one of the guiding principles in Rolfing as I studied to be a Rolfer was how does Ida said, how is gravity the therapist?
Mm.
That was like, wow, what does
Wow.
that
Yeah.
mean? You know? But what I realized in beginning to study how I could find support, how I could begin to use my body in a new way, that there's a way we can befriend gravity. We can learn how to be gentle with our bodies, even in high elite sports and that sort of thing, that to really where we come from in taking care of ourselves makes all the difference in the result. And what I
Absolutely.
mean by that is moving from a muscles and bones approach to
Right.
a fascial matrix. What is the continuity of the body? How
Mm,
does fascia that connects everything, that everything is embedded in, how is that the the actual structure of our living architecture?
right.
Everything is woven within the fascial matrix, and it's and what's most incredible is that it is a liquid crystal
Gel-like. Yeah. Mm,
structure
right.
that has energetic properties. So when we move in certain ways, our body finds gravity in new ways and energizes us. Or when we use really smart body work, we're actually creating a movement potential in the body that the body then takes and creates a new way of being with ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
And that is profound.
It's amazing.
Wow, you mean just the way that I soften my knee and my ankles,
Right.
wow, that actually speaks to my spine and how my neck can let go.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. It's amazing.
it's amazing. So that has been a profound um, yeah, I call it's the difference between body as machine to be trained and fixed,
Exactly.
and body as a living process that
Right.
knows how to self-heal, self-organize, adapt till the day we die.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And kind of going off of what you said, like talking about elite athletes to versus like your average Joe, right? Like, a lot of questions I'll get is why does this happen? Why does this restriction occur? Why is my arm all of a sudden hurting? Like what happens in
Right.
my day-to-day life? And it's exactly what you're saying. Like with gravity, the body's constantly adapting to that load, to that
Yeah,
pressure, and it's changing. And what I love is like it's like a dance, like the
it
body's
totally
constant
is.
like moving, flowing,
Yeah.
and breathing. And
So this is what's really important, Jacob. This is something that people don't, would not think about. But yeah, like you said, I've been doing this exploration for 50 years. Well, guess what? About 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden my right shoulder went, yeah. And all
yeah,
of a sudden I'm feeling this pain. And I'm thinking, what is going on? I
right.
hadn't done anything. Hadn't hurt myself, but
Yeah,
definitely it was a restriction. A
yeah.
restriction was happening. Well, I could go and have somebody do something to it. And I'm
Mhm.
not talking about, yes, good quality body work would help, but
Right.
I'm saying, I could get a steroid shot or I could do,
Yeah.
But what I did instead was I laid down on the floor
Mm,
and I just pressed into my feet, had my knees bent, pressed into my feet, and I just moved my hand. Remember the hand moves, thumb moves around the ulna. So
right.
this moves around. So you've got this whole spiral happening through the arm that doesn't stop at my elbow,
Right.
but
Yeah.
there's a continuity all the way through. So as I press into my feet and with my knees bent and just feel a gentle movement of my spine and my hand
Yeah.
feeling, you see how you can kind of match
Yeah.
what I felt. And my
Right.
shoulder just went, oh, this is nice. Oh, this is really nice.
Yeah.
A day later, it was sort of like, well, I have no idea what that was, but it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. And I love what you said that you're connecting with where your body is at that time today, like, because it changes, like you're saying, it's adapting, it's moving. And so, like, just hearing that and how if you really listen, if you really like close your eyes, tune into your body, you can feel your matrix. You can feel
And that's
how it's wanting to move.
that's it. And that's what's missing.
Yes.
Most people don't realize they have a deep intelligence.
Mm.
that's waiting to guide them.
Their intuition, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely. And we think that, oh, you're really smart because you've studied this and you've studied that and you've studied that. But,
Right.
clients come in and go, well, I don't know anything. You know everything. So just tell me
Yeah.
what to do. And one
Yeah,
of the first
exactly.
things I love to say is, there was a client who came in a number of years ago who had multiple surgeries, and she had
Mm,
been referred to me and by a doctor. And she came in and she just began. We sitting down and we were going through. And she's listing all of the injuries and all the surgeries and all this. And I said, "Can I just ask you something first?" And she said, "Oh, sure." And I said, "How did you get here?" And she
mm.
said, "Well, I drove here." And I said, "Oh," I said, "How did you get into the studio?" Well, I walked in and I said, "So what's interesting about that is there's a lot working,
Yeah.
even though there are things not working." And I said,
That's a
"And
neat perspective. Yeah.
that's what we're going to build on." And she went,
Yeah.
"Nobody's ever said that to me before." And
Wow.
we had remarkable sessions.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow. Because like people get so lost in the rhetoric and what they're supposed to believe, what they're supposed to do.
And what's wrong rather than what's working.
Exactly. Yeah. How can we use what is working to then, yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
Yes,
Um,
it's beautiful. So it,
yeah.
it really takes us into that's really the focus of the book. The focus of the book and what we'll be playing with our workshop when I come and
Mm,
do a workshop at the end of May. How are we reimagining core?
mm,
What's the difference between core control, which is a gripping and a condensing of the
right.
abdominals or a compressing, and a pull your shoulders down, pull your belly in? What's the difference between that and core as relationship
Mm,
with gravity, ourselves, one another, and our living environment? So, in other words, how is breath moving my body in a way that I feel my metabolic need is appropriate for what I'm doing?
right.
Like, take a big breath. How often you hear people just take a big breath, and your body, the intelligence of your body is saying, why? We're
Right.
only
Yeah.
sitting, we're just sitting down. Why are we
Yeah.
taking a huge breath?
Right.
But it's just become part of the thing that you do.
And we don't understand, I feel like the importance of the deep breath and the oxidative stress that almost everybody goes through on a daily basis by not taking deep breaths. Like their body gets so used to just or holding their breath. So many people hold their breath and like the amount
And
of
what is a deep breath is what we're really questioning.
exactly.
Is a deep breath coming from a doing of something, open my
Mm,
mouth and I'm losing my oxygen carbon dioxide relationship within my body? Or is the deep breath coming from I'm walking upstairs, I'm walking up a hill, and all of a
mm,
sudden the breath goes to a deeper place? But
exactly.
as you're saying, you don't want breath to be shallow, even sitting, but
Right.
mostly it's missing. What's missing is there's no breath into the back. We're
Yeah.
so focused on breath, a superficial breath or just an abdominal breath. We forget the back breathes
Or it's literally like
along.
like I like to think about it too. It's like someone's just pressing a button that says breathe, and then it
Right.
breathes, they're done. But I like what you're saying. Like think of it in more of a functional sense. No, how is it allowing me to run up this hill or climb these stairs or walk up these
Yeah.
steps?
Yeah.
I
And
wanted to
can I
ask you
do that
though. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, can I do that nasal breathing? So that's a whole other
Mm,
distinction that we will explore somewhat in the workshop, and that is really well explored in my book, because
yeah.
it's not a right wrong, once again, but it is a functional human way of breathing. Breathing through the mouth a lot, actually, if children breathe through their mouths, it's a dysfunctional breath pattern that
Right.
changes the jaw pattern, it crowds the teeth, the tongue falls to the bottom of the mouth. It doesn't sit up, which then allows the airways to open up. So
Mm,
it's a completely dysfunctional way of breathing to breathe through the mouth all the time.
wow. Wow. Yeah. When did you first think about writing a book? and sharing all your
That's such a
ideas.
great question because I didn't think about writing a book.
Really?
No, I
Okay.
actually was approached by an editor about 4.5 years ago. I was teaching at a national conference, and she came up and she said, it's so interesting how you brought together so many disciplines you've studied into a coherent body of work. Have you thought of writing a book? And I said, not really.
Not really. Yeah.
I really was so intimidated by the thought. I thought,
Yeah.
there's just no way that's going to happen.
Right.
And so I let it go. And she
Yeah.
approached me again about a year later. She emailed me and said, just wondering, and I just thought to myself, I'm just terrified. I
Mm.
don't think I can do it. So I just, sought out support that I needed, to just begin to help me with editing around and my husband was a major, major support around that. And when I finally sat down to begin writing, the person that I was with, I had a writing editor, uh, who I'd researched lots of people and
Yeah.
finally found somebody that I just felt very comfortable with and I felt got my vision, really
Mm.
got the vision of what I wanted. And as soon as I sat down, it poured out of me.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Amazing.
It blew me away. I thought,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, I knew I wanted 7 chapters. I knew the names of the chapters
Wow.
because it was so much a part of
Yeah.
what I've been doing for years.
Right.
And it
It's-
just it is, you can see it's in the book, it's kind of it's a journey, but it's also standing on the shoulders of so many treasured mentors, people who have been pivotal in my growth,
mm.
and how important that is for us to really not just think this is something we can just do on our own. If you're really up to something, wanting to have growth happen rather
Right.
than just pouring information into your head.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Really have growth happen, we need connection, we need
Absolutely.
relationship, we need to stand on the shoulders of people who have come before us.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because, you're talking about all the different mentors you've had and how they've, been the foundation for, everything you've done. And it's so interesting how like we all as humans adapt. We adapt to that. You already have this profound knowledge, and then you were able to learn more and more and more, and then mold it into something beautiful. And then, I mean, able to compartmentalize it into a book, which I'm sure, like, at first it was like, I don't even know how to put this into words, because there's so much here. How do you condense something so big, so big?
Well,
So,
then I kept looking. You see, it was like an article that I wrote a number of years ago that I wrote for Pilates Style in around 2018, and that's um, moving beyond labels
mm,
of classical and contemporary Pilates, because it's a big thing in the community. What's really classical, what's really the original work, what's real, who's doing it right, all this
yeah,
kind of thing, that it can become you can kind of lose the spirit of the genius of
mm,
Joseph Pilates and forget, this is another thing I write about in the book, that when a creator like Joseph Pilates, like Feldenkrais, like Ida Rolf, when they create a work, there is a genius that they're presenting. They're saying, "Wow, here's this," but they are creators,
right,
and if they die, the work doesn't stop.
right,
But
yeah.
most people think, oh, this is what we have, and now we should preserve this in stone. And now this is just, this is what it is. It's not this other that's evolved out of it.
It turns into
But
rule lines versus a moldable work. Yeah.
well, and they're to really, really look at what is the heart of the work.
Mm,
And that's the spirit of this article that I wrote. Where are we coming from?
right.
Where are we coming from that actually both honors the principles of the work, but then also allows us to be present with ourselves and with whoever we're working with, so that the way that I teach and exercise is not going to be the same for every single person that I work with, because People have different needs. People have different body types. People have different, you know, processes that you need to
Right.
meet people. So that's another piece of that we'll really be playing with in the workshop, which is how do we meet one another, whole person to whole person, rather than me teacher to object,
Exactly.
me
Right.
telling
Yeah.
you what you should be doing.
Yeah.
You'll notice that when we've worked together, it's always collaborative. It's a
Right.
collaboration because I'm growing as much as you're growing. There's
Yeah.
something happening in the collaboration that takes us both to a whole other level of awareness, which is just so invigorating. And it takes us out of, I mean, I'm almost 80 years old, I'm 79.
Mhm.
And often when I'm teaching with teachers who are much younger than me, I'll be at the end of the day, I'll forget that, oh, gee, it's almost 4:30, it's almost 5
Yeah.
o'clock. And I'm still going there like, I think I think I'm ready to stop, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, and they're going, how can you keep going like this,
Yeah.
Well, because it's not like I'm special, but there's something moving me.
Yes.
You see,
Absolutely.
there's something that is a
Mm.
inspiring and fed by the what we're talking about with the fascial matrix.
Right.
The fascial matrix body does not stop at the edge of the skin,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That this is a liquid crystalline matrix.
Hmm.
This is connected with the world from the nucleus of the cell to the cosmos.
Yes.
And when you really get that, it's like, wow, that's
There's a whole other,
amazing.
yeah, there's a hidden driving force beneath you, just keeping,
That's right.
yeah, that's amazing.
So that's why I've always said when people will say at the end of doing something, they'll say, well, that's amazing. And I'll say, well,
Yeah.
why is it amazing? And they'll go, I don't know. And I'll go, because you're amazing.
Right. That's awesome.
So
Absolutely.
that's always been like our call
Yeah.
letters at PCA, right?
Um, and if you could just talk a little bit about whenever, like just how the PCA and working here, being with the teachers here, being with the clients here, and then to eventually, pass it on and move on. How has that whole transition been for you? How has that affected
Well,
you?
it's something that because Michael and I, over the many years, and with Marcos working with me, and mentoring with both of us for almost 20 years,
Right.
we've just it just became so much more than um, teacher student. It was just more of a family. I mean, your
Mm,
family is more like family for us.
yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really beautiful. So it just we just felt we knew we wanted to move to Asheville after a while, and we just felt, Marcos so embodies what we built there for
Mm,
so many years. Just there's the level of integrity, his values, and what wants to stand for, how we serve people. People walk through
absolutely.
the door, Jacob, people walk through the door, they immediately just feel like they can breathe.
Yes,
They can
absolutely.
let go. They can just, they're there being held in
Right.
a space of love and support. What
Absolutely.
a better gift than that?
Right. No,
You
that's
know,
amazing. The
so
culture that you've built and that he's carried on, it's been amazing. It
it's
really is, that's why like sometimes it's frustrating like seeing like other club Pilates, and they're just like humping, like, they're pumping around, like dancing to music, just trying to get a crazy, crazy workout, and everyone's like, oh, that's what Pilates is. And it's like, well, there's something deeper, there's something deeper you
exactly,
could be getting.
exactly.
Um,
And I feel we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to teach because I've had two or three Club Pilates teachers come into my year-long Passing the Torch program
oh
who are just,
wow.
yeah, just wonderful people.
Amazing. That's
Yeah. And
awesome.
so how do they then go back and bring something deeper? And or
Right.
yeah, how do you meet people? Because we have to meet the culture,
Right.
to be able to really have people who are or trying to survive in this,
Right.
crazy, uh, chaotic world, that's
Right.
just, I mean, there's just so much going on that's confusing and that is also at such a pace that most people don't know how to rest down. They don't
Absolutely.
know how to feel support. So that's really what I see our job is. You know,
Yes.
how
Helping
do
people
we,
get out of the sympathetic response.
that's right. How do
Yeah.
we bring that in and how does it become like an aha for somebody like,
Right.
wow, this is great,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. Well, we are very excited to have you down at the studio again, and that'll be on May 30th.
The workshop will be a 1 day workshop, and
Okay.
then the book signing will be after that, and then I'll be doing another day of teaching.
Wonderful.
If people want privates or duets or classes,
That's
that'll be
amazing.
an opportunity.
Yeah. Are you ready for this whole tour that's upcoming? Are you
I
excited?
can't wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait. I mean, it's just so exciting hearing. I mean, the teachers, people are being in touch and they're just like excited and just to
Yeah.
be part of something that, we're doing this together. And plus, everybody's excited to go deeper in their work. You know,
Yeah.
so much, as we know, every time we come together, something new emerges. And, um, and we go deeper in what we're studying, so that's the excitement,
Yeah.
how to bring in freshness, a fresh awareness and a new vitality to what you're
New
doing.
vitality. Yes. And you know what I think is truly amazing is like, these people that will come to your book tours, they've probably known you for a while or heard of you. And what I really just think is truly amazing is everything you're working towards is allowing you at your age to be so energetic, so full of life, so ready to
Mm,
still keep giving, which is amazing, and I think that just speaks to how deep and fascinating and powerful this work is and
yeah.
all that you've done. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much for taking the time. I hope
So,
I think I covered most of everything, but
yeah, you're a wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful interviewer.
Oh, thank you. You're a great interviewee. So, well, it was been great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on, and I
Thanks,
look forward to
Jacob.
seeing you May 30th. So,
Thank
yeah, or
you.
before then, hopefully. Yeah.
Terrific.
All right.
Take
Well, I'll see
care.
you later.
See
Okay.
everybody
Thank you.
soon.
All right.